There comes a moment when it all feels like it's just falling apart. The roles you used to play no longer fit. The mask won't stay on. The weight of pretending becomes heavier than the fear of change. You think maybe you're breaking down, but what's actually happening is you're waking up. And awakening doesn't arrive with trumpets. It often arrives with exhaustion, bone-deep weariness from carrying a life that no longer belongs to you. In that narrow space between fatigue and clarity, you begin to see something you buried long ago. The truth of who you really are. You can't keep going the way you used to. Not because you're weak, but because your soul has outgrown the structure you built to survive. The silence, it feels suffocating now. The hustle feels hollow. The relationships built on performance feel unbearable. This isn't dysfunction, it's awakening. You're not falling apart. You're falling inward, and for a while, that can feel horrible, like impending doom. It's not the death of who you thought you were supposed to be. It's hard, very hard, but it's not your doom. There's grief here, not just for what you lost, but for what was never real to begin with. You start to see the ways you contorted yourself just to be accepted. And slowly, sometimes shakily, you begin choosing integrity over approval. You used to numb yourself just to function. You laughed at things that weren't funny, stayed silent when your gut was screaming, nodding, when your spirit wanted to walk away. And that was survival. But survival has an expiration date, and you've reached it. Now, your nervous system reacts to dishonesty like an allergy. You can't tolerate inauthenticity the way you once did. Your body knows what your mind tried to forget. You were meant for truth. And when truth begins to rise, everything false starts to fall away. Yeah, it can feel lonely. The world you built on approval can't follow you into life built on integrity. You may walk alone for a while, but that solitude is not punishment. It's preparation. You're not empty. You're clearing space. Awakening isn't clean. It isn't a workshop. It isn't a 5-step plan. It's messy, raw, and it is sacred. You may grieve the man you used to be. You may grieve relationships that only loved your mask. There will be moments you want to pull back, and the old pain feels safer than the unknown peace. But if you stay with it, you'll feel that first flicker of the man you were meant to become, the man who doesn't need applause, the man who trusts his own rhythm, the man who stands without apology. There's no map for this, only the steady drumbeat of your own intuition. And now, it's finally loud enough to follow. They told you something was wrong with you, that your sensitivity, your questions, your inner fire were flaws to be corrected or hidden. But what they call brokenness was buried truth. You are not defective. You are emerging. The life you built to survive is giving way to the life you were born to live. Yeah, it's disorienting. Sure. But for many men, it's also the most honest thing they've ever felt. You weren't meant to live under anesthesia. You were meant to feel, to choose, to transform. This is where many men retreat, back into comfort. back into distraction, back into numbness. But you're still here. You are still feeling, still choosing, and still standing. So let's be clear. You were never asleep. You were trained to ignore yourself, to silence your inner compass, to value what others told you mattered. But a deeper part of you never stopped watching, never stopped whispering. That part is why you're here now. Getting started. You don't need to rush or have all the answers. You only need to stop pretending you're lost. Because the man you're becoming isn't a stranger. He's the man you've always been, beneath the armor, beneath the silence. And every time you chose him, you came home. This isn't the end, it's the beginning. You're not broken, you are still standing, still walking, and still becoming.